Yo, what's going on YouTube? It's your boy Light back here with another YouTube video. In today's video, we're going to be reviewing Thor Ragnarok, or part number 16 of my ongoing reviewing the MCU series here on my channel. So yeah, again, we're reviewing here Thor Ragnarok, which is part number 16. Um, so yeah, the way I like to do these is essentially I like to do initial reaction followed by bad, good, and then my final thoughts slash score. So, so yeah, anyways, so continuing on here, just on a quick side note, I realize I've been forgetting a few times to do the final scores. That's my bad. I mean, if you guys really want to know about some final scores that I forgot to put in the video, just comment it on that video and I'll put my comment score. Um, yeah, so my apologies if that ever happens, but yeah. And I believe with Thor 3, we're actually about halfway through the MCU currently right now. Well, as of dates of Moon Knight here, that's out now, which I believe makes it 32, and that 16 is half of 32. So yeah, we're about at we're about at like about halfway through the MCU, which is pretty good. So yeah, continuing on with that. So yeah, let's get into it. My initial reaction. Oh yeah, and also Thor Ragnarok came out 2017. It's about now approaching 5 years. So yeah, yeah, my initial reaction. I think this movie's really good, really enjoyable. In my opinion, top tier MCU. Really enjoyable. Uh, yeah. So let's get into the bad. So like I just said, this is a really good movie. So I mean, there's not really any real flaws, I would say. Uh, just one or two things I can think of off the top of my head. So the first one is similar to the Guardians movies, where it's just, in fact, there's just too much humor. And don't get me wrong, again, humor is a good thing. Humor's fun. Humor's just makes the movie even better in certain situations. But in this movie, there's just a little bit too much of the use of humor in terms of, I'm talking specifically about Thor's character. Now, if you've ever read Thor's comics before, you would know, or seen anything about Thor, you would know that he is not really funny. He's not really a funny character. He's never made jokes like this. He makes jokes maybe a little bit, but I mean, not on this level. He is not like a character you treat like a goof to make everybody laugh and stuff. So, yeah, again, that's like, with that being said, uh, like that stuff really kind of just destroyed it a little bit. But I mean, if even if you look past all that stuff, it doesn't really matter. If you look past all that stuff, but still, it kind of takes away from the script. I really kind of disliked when we were in a serious moment and then he just cracked a joke. That was really, I didn't really like that too much. And I mean, it was funny and stuff, but it just kind of it was dislikable. And I'm not even gonna really be talking about Hulk really, because Hulk is its own case. That's the entire MCU we're talking about here. But I mean, in this movie specifically, Thor. That's one thing I hope they correct in Love and Thunder, is maybe balance out the humor a little bit. I mean, it's okay that, for example, Korg is a real funny character. That's fine. Uh, yeah, that something like that is completely fine. But I mean, Thor shouldn't be this funny. I mean, yeah. One specific example is when they're escaping Sakaar, and he gives on this whole speech about, I'll run towards my problems. Where that was supposed to be a serious moment, and then he just threw the dodgeball and hit him right in the face. I don't know if that was a dodgeball. Well, whatever ball, threw out the window and hit him in the face like that when he's about to finish it off. I felt that was just unnecessary. I would have liked if he would say, like, that's what heroes do, and smash out the window. That would have made that scene badass. But I mean, I guess that's my opinion. But I mean, still, I didn't like that too much. That it was like that. But I mean, still, with the light touches of humor, really upgraded it a bit more. Like, I would say, throughout the first two Thor movies, there wasn't enough humor, and then they just kind of like took that as, shoot, there's no humor, so I guess we gotta throw in more humor, and they just throw in way too much humor. So yeah. Another thing. I found was a little strange, but I mean it's welcome. But I mean it's just a slight critique. Is they essentially this is like a reboot. I'm gonna be real with you. This is like a reboot. I mean they changed up everything, and I mean I'm not necessarily saying it's a bad way, but I mean there's a lot of things that they just completely changed. They don't really mention the nine realms at all, which I would have liked to see a little bit more of, a little bit more with the gods and stuff. I would have liked to see that, but I mean, I guess they're gonna address that more in Thor: Love and Thunder, so that's not a big problem. But I mean, yeah, again, like they kind of like threw away everything. Like they didn't even mention. Well, they showed a picture of the Frost Giants, but I mean, they didn't even mention anything with that or Malekith or anything. And I mean, I'm all down for trying to fix those problems, but I mean, just completely not mentioning them is kind of stupid. So yeah. Uh, so that was just like kind of one thing with that. But I mean, yeah, I mean it was all right to reboot and everything, and the way they just killed off those characters like that. I mean, those characters didn't have much going for them anyway, so it was all right that they were killed off. But I mean, still, it kind of made no sense that they just die like that. I don't know what that was meant for. Um, yeah, that was kind of strange to me, in my opinion, to see like characters like that, and then also to realize like that essentially just had no effect on Thor. That's another thing. The humor kind of got in that way of showing that Thor's really technically grieving, especially since he just saw his father die. He realizes he has a murderous sister essentially. I mean Loki just faked his death. Like it shows no real character progression with Thor in terms of those deaths and stuff. You would expect maybe he would say a few things or something, but I mean, it is what it is. In terms of the good, now again, I just mentioned that the humor kind of hurts it, but still, it was good. That was funny. I do enjoy it. I liked it way better than the first two movies, like especially with the humor and stuff. We just upgraded it much more, so I like that. I like Corrigan specifically because he was just funny to me. The action was really interesting. I really liked how really the action was a lot more interesting, uh, and everything with that. Story wise, it was really good. I like the perspective of Thor essentially becoming like the god of thunder and showcasing more of his thunder powers, per se, other than being like using Milner all the time and be like, I'm Thor, I'll hit you with the hammer. I really liked how they furthered into his character to show he's actually the god of thunder and not just somebody uses a hammer and just flies around and beats up people. So that's something I actually really liked, and I actually thought it was a good collective decision to destroy Milner. So, yeah. In terms of villain wise, I thought Hela was a pretty decent villain. I mean, she wasn't the greatest or anything, but she's still a good villain. Uh, Still interesting, pretty interesting. Like I found it interesting to learn more about her and stuff, but still, like I wouldn't say she's the greatest, but I mean she was still an interesting villain and everything. So yeah. In terms of the acting, I really liked, in specific, Thor's acting as well as Loki's acting. Tom Hiddleston, sorry, and Chris Hemsworth. So I thought their acting was really good. I really liked that whole thing with them and their acting and stuff. I really like Tom Hiddleston as an actor. I think he's a really phenomenal actor. So yeah, that was really enjoyable with that. And then this furthers into it. I really like the writing and in terms of character development. I like how we're seeing Loki slowly have developed through this movie into his like a full potential character. Same with Thor. Some would say even Hulk had character development, so I like that as well. Um, yeah, and same with Valkyrie. I thought Valkyrie had some good character development, which is really cool as well. Another thing I did like was the music, soundtrack, and theme. I liked the whole the soundtrack was pretty good. I liked as well soundtrack. I liked the walls as well. Sorry, the theme songs was really interesting. I also liked how Taika Waititi was going for more of like this 80s theme, or I don't know if this is the 80s or the 70s, maybe even the 90s. I don't think it's the 90s, but I think it's like the 80s theme. and like 80s theme rock and roll. Still, that was interesting. Even still, that the fact that Thor is a character from, was it, I think it's Norse mythology, uh, meaning he's more serious tone. And why would this doesn't even take place on Earth? I'm not gonna say at all because there was a few scenes on Earth, but I mean, still that he decided to put like that 80s theme. Well, that was pretty interesting. Um, but it is welcome. I thought it was pretty good. So yeah. Now for my final thoughts. In terms of my final thoughts, I think this is top tier MCU. Really good, best of Thor trilogy by far. Easily makes the Thor trilogy much better. Like before, I still kind of think it's the worst trilogy, but I mean this just makes it like a contender for some of the like the better MCU movies. And also just kind of revived Thor as a character. Because I feel like up to this moment, Thor wasn't the greatest of characters, even throughout the other movies. Not just his own movies, even in like the Avengers movies and stuff. But I mean, still, he was still a very interesting movie in this. And, sorry, interesting character in this. In terms of my score, I'll give it an easy 8.5 out of 10. It's still a solid movie, really good, top 10 MCU, but still has somewhat of flaws. But I mean, that's pretty much it though. Anyways, that's pretty much it though. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.